Hi, everyone. Welcome to Rich Queer Aunties. It's your host, Christabel. And for the first time on the podcast, we have a guest. And it's none other than my esteemed friend, Dan.
Hi.
And we're going to let Dan tell us who they are, what they do.
Yeah, I am multidimensional being, first and foremost. So as I shapeshift as Dan, I am an organizer. I am a spiritualist, a sorcerer. I am a facilitator, ceremonialist. And as I shapeshift as King Boo, my art practice, I'm a visual artist, abstract visual artist. I'm a DJ, a musician, event producer, portal opener, portal popper. I like to use sound as a tool for healing and for celebrating and for bringing people into their bodies or into feelings that, otherwise they may not have capacity to access. Mm-hmm. So I support people generally in their journey in life through these tools, these avenues, these portals.
Wow. That last part, like everything that you are and everything that you do is like awe-inspiring, baseline. But I must say that my favorite ways of experiencing you is the way you use sound and music to evoke emotions and help embodiment in ways that I've never experienced before. And so that actually goes into like how we met. You were DJing an event, right?
Whoa, I first saw you at a party.
Okay.
We were in a pool exactly across from each other. Like you literally walked to where I was sitting across the pool and you created a station because you create stations as well.
The pool party.
The pool party. But we didn't meet there. That was the first time, but our energies met there.
Yeah.
And then we met again. It wasn't an event. It was actually at Mushin.
Yeah, at Mushin.
Yeah.
I think you...
I just came.
Did you DJ that night? You didn't DJ.
I just came to hang out, and you were like, "Is it safe over here? I can come." Yes, literally. And I think that was like, I don't know, we just kikied. Yeah. And then we met again at that event on the rooftop with all the queers, the gala. Yeah. And I think that from there, that was it. We made the connections that we were J-dubs.
Yeah.
And it was over.
It was over. We're just like, shut up. So yeah, that's a great segue into what we're going to be talking about today. Mm-hmm. We were both raised Jehovah's Witnesses. We're both no longer Jehovah's Witnesses.
Hallelujah.
And the conversation is like, how did we get from point A to point B?
Yeah.
Because it's not straightforward, is it? So I'm interested. I don't meet a lot of ex-J-dubs. The other person in my life currently who is an ex-J-dub is my ex, who we met because we were part of the same congregation and we were part of the same like pioneer field service group. For those who don't know that, pioneers are full-time ministers and they devote a certain number of hours a month to go house to house preaching. So that's how me and my ex met, preaching to people about how being gay is a sin. So how was it for you? Tell me about your upbringing as a Jehovah's Witness. What did that look like for you?
Tight. It was really tight. So not only were both my parents Jehovah's Witnesses, I was the only child, and both of my parents are also Caribbean. So there's just like a Caribbean mentality that exists where things can be pretty strict generally. And then there's this extra layer of religious indoctrination, and then All Eyes on Me created this really intense life at a very young age, you know? There was no space for any type of individual development, expression. yeah, there was just no time because all of my time was spent either preparing for the end of the world, you know, like, or teaching people that the end is coming and this is how you'll survive, or fucking like, oh, can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay, cute.
Yeah.
Or like,
can you imagine me having a podcast where you can't curse? The fuck?
we free here. Okay. But then, like, you know, always having those weekly meetings, like every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, they weren't mine. Like, nothing was mine. So I experienced growing up in religious, like thick religious gumbo, you know, like there's no way out. This is it. I didn't have a lot of friends because, you know, they were worldly. You can't be friends with people who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses because they'll taint your mind, you know. Bad associations spoils useful habits. Oh my God, I should get that on a t-shirt. Because that was it. That was the mantra.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's just it was a lot of inner sadness. Like, just imagine what it feels like to have your spirit crushed, you know, because you can't be your own person. So I was constantly suppressing curiosity, desire, questions about everything, the world, myself, how people interact, how you connect, love, just everything. No development in that.
Were you aware that this was happening? Were you aware that your curiosity was being suppressed, that your individuality was not being expressed?
Yeah.
How did that awareness look like for you?
Depression, or quote unquote depression, right? To know that there's more of you and then to have to actively suppress it. Yeah, it just feels like a fight I can't win. So I'm going to just give up and I'm just going to become a shell of myself. And the only way I can actually become a shell of myself is if I continuously suppress. So it's this like crazy cycle that happens. And so I've spent most of my childhood and teenage years and young adulthood depressed, you know, and I couldn't find my way out of the darkness. Like, it took 7 years of consistent purging, detoxing, and being clear about the end goal, which was like releasing this stuff that I picked up along the way. That's the only way that I was able to get this out.
The reason why I ask that is my story is similar but very different in very notable ways to me. So I too was raised by an African Jehovah's Witness parent. My dad and my mom were both Jehovah's Witnesses at some point. My dad's mom and dad were also Jehovah's Witnesses. But my dad was the more rebellious one. Even though when he married my mom, he was a Jehovah's Witness. Eventually, like, he got disfellowshipped because he was drinking a lot. He was violent towards my mom. So then my mom left. And when she left, she clung to the truth, i.e. being a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
It was her whole identity. She had come into being a Jehovah's Witness through her older brother when she lived with him during her teenage years, like early adulthood. So she found family in the congregation. She had a really hard upbringing. So when she found that love and that community within the congregation, she said, I am never letting go of this. So that's kind of the mindset with which she divorced my dad and we moved to Ghana from Nigeria. That's how she raised my brother and I. Very much, this thing saved my life. This thing gave my life purpose, and I will force feed it to you whether you like it or not. It is, in fact, my biblical and godly obligation to do this. If I'm going to go out on these streets preaching to people to try to get them to come serve Jehovah, what you think? I'm not going to do that at home? You're out of your mind. So it was very strict in that way. You know, it feels really resemblant. But I don't think I came into an awareness of the ways that I was lacking until when I was much older. I certainly acted out a lot. I was beat a lot. Conforming was difficult for me, but I couldn't name it. It also could be because I grew up in Africa. So like, there's just not a lot of naming of things in a collectivistic society. It's just what it is. So in that way, it feels really different. You know, so I was rebellious, but I would go to meetings. You didn't have to tell me to prepare for field service, to not celebrate birthday. I was like at school, y'all are pagan.
Oh my God.
So that's why I was really interested to have this conversation, because sometimes it feels like it's the same experiences, but it's not.
Yeah. That was my mom. You and my mom would be best friends.
Would we though?
Oh my gosh.
Because knowing everything I know about subconscious conditioning, the ways I rebelled were so violent. I'll talk the talk, but like I was engaged to a 36-year-old man when I was 16.
Wow. Okay.
I had 2 abortions by the time I was 16 and 17. So it's like...
It came out in its way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't have a realization. I couldn't name depression. I just could name like I was seeking love in all the places. Wrong, right? In between, I was seeking love and I would gravitate towards that. And in high school and in college, like you said, I didn't have friends. The friends I had in the congregation, you're worried because they might go tattle on you. You go tell the elders.
I had them ones.
So yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love that you had a recognition.
Very clear one.
Yeah.
Very clear. But I think that a distinction is that you had a bigger family around you. I had a bigger family around me until I was 9, and then we moved from Brooklyn to Jersey. And I think something switched there. I was always rebellious. Like, my spirit is naturally rebellious, and I never wanted to study. I always thought it was boring. I always thought that I couldn't make it make sense. Like, I hear that these are words that these people, I don't know who these people are also. Like, I'm like, who's the man that wrote this book? That was me as a kid. I'm looking up the authors' names, like, why is everybody white? Yeah. You know, like, everything, I questioned everything. But then at the same time, there was, like, this spirit being crushed, too. So, but I think that my family size had to do with it also. Like, the fact that I didn't have any distractions. In Brooklyn, I grew up in an apartment building where, like, my aunts were on the 9th floor. They were on the 2nd floor. I could go upstairs, downstairs. Our Kingdom Hall was across the street. We helped build that Kingdom Hall. Bethel was like down the road, you know. So I was more insular in the community. And then when we moved to Jersey, I had some time and space.
Yeah.
And it was just me. And that's where the questioning started getting bigger and more robust.
Yeah.
And I didn't have answers. And everybody just kept telling me to have faith. And that wasn't good enough for me, you know?
Yeah. How old were you when you got baptized?
17. Because I didn't want to do it.
Okay.
I didn't want to do it. I only did it because my dad was trying to become an elder.
Yeah.
So I was getting pressured to get baptized. So I just did it because it was the next thing to do, right? Getting baptized is equal to that question, like, when are you going to have a baby or when are you going to get married? It's like, when are you going to get baptized? Nobody else asked about anything else but that until you're baptized. Yeah. It was just a cool thing to do.
A little late bloomer in that way, though. I got baptized at 13.
I started having sex at 13. Okay. Other way around.
You baptized that pussy at 13.
Not in the blood of Jesus. But,
oh, gosh, I'm dead. So how did you navigate separating yourself from being a Jehovah's Witness? Like, was it a back and forth? How did that work for you?
It was a back and forth my whole life, even having sex at 13. Everything I did, there was guilt attached to it. So I would rebel, do my thing, and then I would feel so guilty, and then I would like pioneer the next month. You know, like I would just go to extremes on both ends. Yeah. That was my teenage years. It was just like toggling between trying to get some sort of myself out or find some sort of myself. Because school was like the place that became the club, right? School became social hour. That's why I didn't really excel at school, because when I got to school, I was just ready to communicate with people. Oh my God, we can hang out, we can play, we can talk about things that aren't the Bible. Oh my God.
Who has time for algebra?
What do you talk about outside of the Bible? There's things to talk about, like
music.
Oh my gosh.
For you, probably.
Yeah, music and books. Those were my things. Yeah, it was a 10-year journey until I actually left.
From like what age?
I'd say 13.
Okay.
Something just switched. It was just like a no fucks given.
Yeah.
I don't know what's on the other side of this, but I'm going to find out. So I guess in some respects that curiosity didn't die, right? It it just wasn't leading the charge, but it was subtly there, stirring the pot. Yeah. I'm just sipping tea, like, ooh, what's she gonna do? We gonna take a little bit of this. What's she gonna do with it? Yeah, 13 to my early 20s, it was just like, yeah. The birth of the internet really helped my queerness be birthed, I will say. And that was also a thing that gave me confidence because I was such a researcher and I had confidence that I could find my way if I didn't have anyone.
Yeah.
That was the thing that really allowed me to let go at the very end when I had a decision to make. I was like, am I going to keep suppressing myself? Am I going to live my life suppressed? Compressed parts of me, because I saw all of the Black women around me suppressed and parts of themselves, and I loved those shiny parts of themselves that they like would express. But most of the women in the congregations that I was adjacent to or went to, they weren't showing up. Like I could see, because I'm a spiritualist, I've always been a spiritualist. I've always been a seer. I've always known certain things that I couldn't explain. So I think that as a kid, I was seeing that suppression happen and it just wasn't attractive to me. I didn't want to grow up to be like that. And I didn't necessarily have an example of who I wanted to grow up to be like, but at least in my fantasies and in my dreamland, that was more exciting than what I was seeing. So that curiosity is what like kept me, I wouldn't even say forging away, because I didn't forge my way out of this. I just kept making choices that at the time centered me, even though I didn't have that language, you know?
Give me an example of a choice that you would make.
So getting my tattoos.
Okay.
Like that was a big deal. That was like a rebellious, like I'm ripping off the Band-Aid and I'm getting 5 tattoos in my first sitting. I'm still baptized at this point. I've moved out of my parents' house and I bought a condo in Jersey City. And
you
I was
bought
like,
a condo?
Yeah, I was, look, I'm a Capricorn. I be doing the thing, okay?
How old are we talking?
I was 22. But this is what I'm saying. Like, I didn't have fear that I couldn't do it because I would just do it. I would just be like, well, this is what I need to survive. I'm going to do whatever it takes to survive. So I think at that point, you know, I was living my best New York City life. I had my condo. I was working in the city at like the Food Network or something and getting my suits. I was figuring it out for myself, you know, and that shit is scary. But the conviction that there's another side to this story was all that I needed. I just needed that, like, there's a possibility that things can be different. And that is what, like, allowed me to get those 5 tattoos, knowing that I was going to see my parents. Because even though I bought my condo in Jersey City, my parents were close enough to where I would wash my clothes at their house on the weekend. And that was my way of like having Sunday dinner with them and stuff like that, because my parents and I were best friends. So I knew I was going to see my family and I knew it was going to stir the pot, but I also knew that I don't depend on y'all for anything. So at this point, any decision that I make, we have to have a conversation about it. You can't punish me or anything. So I started moving in like the subtleties, like what's going to happen if, you know?
Were you still going to meetings at this point?
No, I had stopped going to meetings. And what stopped that was literally, there was this couple in the Jersey City congregation that I admired. I thought that their light was shining. And at the same time, their light was never shining equally, right? She always still had to suppress herself. And it was the most unattractive thing to me. And there was something about witnessing their love, like the depth of their love, the depth of their power, their essence, but then still seeing her muted. I was like, I don't want to be inside of anything that does this to women. I saw it happen to my mom, you know, just like this brilliant being who has made choices that keep her partner in a place of, I don't know. Elevation. Yeah. Their feelings, their needs, their everything. I just see the suppression of women in these contexts. And at that age, I just knew that basic thing was not okay for me. And I didn't want to be involved. And I made my decision to stop going altogether based on that experience in my body. And I remember the day I made that decision because it was scary. right? Because now I'm going to have to explain, because moms is going to ask, like, you've been to your meetings and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm going to say the truth. Yeah. And then I'm going to see what happens from there. And I think it was that, like, as I'm talking about it now, I'm realizing that I was ripping the Band-Aid off slowly in my own way. Slowly but purposefully. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this little thing and see what's going to happen. Oh, that wasn't so bad. Okay. Oh, that was really scary. I need some time before I rip off the next, you know?
What did they do when they saw the tattoos? How did that
My dad was like, what's that? I was like, you see, like, is that the conversation that you want to have? Okay, because I did it real slick, right? So sometimes I would spend the night at their house. So I think it was like a Saturday to Sunday. I'd gone to wash clothes, and I took a shower, and I was walking to my room, and I just had my towel. So when I did those 5 tattoos, they were like from my ear, shoulder, and then down my back. So it was obvious he was going to see me walking out. And I just, I like subtle things. It don't have to be like, hey, like it's already going to be a shock to your system. Let me subtly roll it out. And we never had an actual conversation about it. He like tried to passively like bring it up into other talkings too, because my dad was the lecturer. Yeah. So, and that's another part too. Not only was my identity suppressed, my voice was suppressed. I didn't have access to this right now. Like what we're doing, didn't have access to it for years. Yeah. This is a new thing. My father would always talk at me. So I just learned to space out when people were talking, and I learned to not say anything. So he ended up just like passively bringing it up and like, oh, you're piercing your body and you're tatting your body now. And like, where's Jehovah? Like to shame you kind of conversations. But at that point, I was fortifying myself by making my own choices, by having my own things. And then at this point, I was fucking women. So also, I'm being turned out at the same time. Okay.
I am dead.
I can't lay in your bed, but I can lay in that pussy. I'm good. Yeah. The world could crumble right now. Like, yeah. So there were these like comforts that showed up as I was releasing myself from the only thing that I knew, and those comforts were comforting.
Oh my goodness. I love hearing this, because our differences shine their light, and it makes me realize there's no one approach to get in there. Much like you would just like keep quiet, be suppressed, not be subtle with it. I was the exact opposite. I will come looking for a fight. I will be squared up. I remember I went to the UK when I was 18, and I didn't get tattoos, but I got piercings. So I got my nose pierced. I got my tongue pierced. I went home to Ghana after however long I was in the UK for. I will say that when I was going from university to go visit my mom at home, I took out the nose piercing, but I forgot to take out the tongue piercing. So when she saw the tongue piercing, she threw the remote at me and started crying about how Jehovah has deserted her. What has she done wrong for me to turn out the way I did? Because I got a tongue piercing. So that was the most subtle like thing I did by taking that piercing out. After that though, it was on and popping. We didn't have tattoo studios in Ghana, didn't have access to even piercing. It was only when I went to the UK. So the next time I went back to the UK, I got more things pierced. And when I came home, I was engaged to this dude.
This is 16?
18. Oh, I was engaged to him before that. So then when I came home, my boyfriend at the time had moved to the US. And so I was like, I'm going to the US. I'm leaving you. I'm leaving this horrible existence. So I always had a mouth on me. I would say the thing. I would fight. I would fight in her face, but behind closed doors, I would cry. I would be really sad that I couldn't talk to my mom about what was going on with me. I couldn't talk to her about the abortions. I couldn't talk to her about anything. So when I got it in my mind though that I was leaving, that was that. I remember the day I left, it had rained and I had this suitcase my dad had given me, my prized possession, and she was like berating me and insulting assaulting me, and I was dragging my suitcase through the mud, like quite literally. I kept that suitcase for like 10 years, even after I came to the US, with the mud still on it, because I would always be like, this was the day I left. This was the day I left towards my freedom. And I did it despite her saying, you will not amount to anything if you leave here, you know? So yeah, there are differences, there are similarities, but one thing for sure is that, especially being queer, right? Like when that thing in you comes to collect.
Because it comes to collect.
You either answer or you're miserable.
Or you die.
In the word. You die
inside.
You die inside. That's it.
That was the only choice.
And whichever way, even if it's a back and forth and like, I'm not sure about it, I do this and I do that. Because even when I came to the US and I broke up with that boyfriend, I still wasn't fucking women. I put an ad out on Craigslist looking for a girl. I was like, listen, I was living in Chicago at the time. I don't know how to do this. I think I like women, but I'm not really trying to do anything sexual. So if you just want to connect and talk, I still have that email from Craigslist in my inbox. I look at it often.
It should be on the wall. Yes.
Yeah. And what do you know? The person who replied to the ad was a Catholic queer woman who was also struggling with her sexuality and religious guilt. So I know this conversation is specific to Jehovah's Witness, but we see it happen in, the cult of Christianity in general, especially if you're queer. Like the guilt is crushing or can be crushing, because at least if you're straight and sinful, you can still find someone to love and have a life with.
Right.
If you're queer, you're doomed to be on your own.
Yeah.
Have them tell it.
Yeah.
It's okay if you're gay, as long as you don't do homosexual acts. I.e., have a partner, live with a partner, be happy, try to find a measure of warmth and comfort with someone or with someone's. And so that becomes just like, there's no way out. For me, I was just like, oh, this is fuck. I really do have to leave. And that's kind of what started that journey for me.
Yeah. I was outed, so I didn't think I was going to come out. I didn't know how that part was going to happen. But I will say that I'm grateful that it happened, because now I'm grateful that it happened.
Yeah.
Because it did just give me that final nudge.
Yeah.
To like stand up for myself.
Yeah.
And say, yes, this is me. This is a fucked up way that this has happened. But yes, I'm gay. I like women, and let's talk about it.
Did they want to talk about it?
Not like in a conversation way.
In a you're a terrible person kind of way. You have deserted Jehovah and us, and
yeah, we all have these feelings and we suppress them. That's what I was told. So yeah, which I already knew. I already knew that. But
I have this theory that, how you're hard pressed to find anyone in our parents' generation who are gay or queer or openly or covertly or whatever. I'm like, y'all are gay as fuck.
Like,
all of y'all.
Come on.
This is why this is so triggering to you.
Yeah.
This is why you'd rather chew your arm off than accept that your offspring exercising free will is actually
an extension of you. And I'm exercising it because you didn't exercise it.
And can we celebrate that?
No, because they can't celebrate that part of themselves. So
yeah.
And that's a part of the healing, right? Just like knowing that there's a stuckness that unfortunately came with that generation. It was an energy that people could attach to, or they couldn't, because some people didn't, right?
Yeah.
And those are the revolutionaries of that generation.
Yes.
And some attached to that low vibration of fear.
Yeah.
And we're at choice every day in that respect. I could have chosen fear in that moment, and it was like I saw both paths clearly. I saw what the fear path was going to lead to, and I saw what the freedom of saying yes in this moment was going to lead to. I couldn't see the details, but I knew that it felt really good. It didn't feel like that path. And so I went with the yes. I went with the curiosity of what was on the other side of everyone knowing everything and not living two lives, because that's what I ended up living, two lives.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you said about being at the juncture where you need to make a decision, choose fear or choose freedom. Is it really a choice? I say this because I thought about it last night when I was thinking about talking to you today. If you were raised, say my mom was raised up, had a lot of trauma, had a lot of pain, and came into this loving congregation, because they can be that.
Oh, for sure.
They are that, you know.
My mom is love.
Yeah. So you come into this congregation that you find peace for the first time, right? You find shelter from the storms, as it were. You believe everything that you're being taught. Like, it's not just my mom who believed the Bible verbatim. There are people of our generation, of our age, who are also like, they believe this stuff 100%. And so part of that belief is like proselytizing, preaching, getting people to come into the love of Jehovah so that they can live forever in everlasting life, so they can see their dead loved ones again. And they want that so bad for their children. They want their children in paradise with them. So that's the place from which they are doing all these things, all these denial of your personhood, all these, like, they're coming from this place of love as they feel it. So then where is the choice? Like, how can they choose different? How can they choose essentially not teaching their kids how to gain everlasting life?
Because they believe it. Because
they believe it.
I think that it's tricky, right? Because you understand how we got here. I totally get it. The tricky part for me is that they believe there's only one way. Right? There's only one way to serve God, and it's this way. And any other way is wrong. And from that place, it's like, that's judgment. Like, that's the first thing that the Bible is saying.
But they have Bible prophecies to back them up. They have these explanations, like, how do we know that Jehovah's Witnesses is the truth? There are these set of quote unquote evidences that convince them that they're the truth.
Right.
I'm asking this question purely like, I know what my thoughts about it is. Just like exploratory angle. If you can point out these scriptures, these prophecies, these things that have been fulfilled, you literally are thinking that you're critically thinking, that you're analyzing. You're not just falling for the okie doke. You're like, oh no, I'm not being brainwashed. You know, like, that's how I experienced my mom. She was a high school chemistry teacher. She taught us to reason. She was big in school. I was in college by the time I was 16 for that reason. So I never thought I was being brainwashed. I don't think she thinks any part of it doesn't make sense to her. From that place, how do you break free from that, you know?
For me, I can only speak from my experience. Jehovah's Witness rhetoric is all based in logic. It's not based in feeling, because you have to detach yourself in order to do the thing, right? So for me, my life was based in feeling. Like, that was the way I escaped, through following my feeling, not my logic, not my brain, not the things that I was taught. Because even though we're taught all that stuff, there's so much subtle parts of life that we're not taught that we're ignoring at the same time.
Yeah.
And in order to go that hard as a Jehovah's Witness, you have to be ignoring so much else to exist.
Yeah.
And that stuff that I was ignoring was starting to be loud. The signs were loud. I couldn't miss them. Even if I tried to ignore it, there was no ignoring them. And because those signs were loud, the coded language of spirit overpowered any logical thinking, any writing, any biblical grimoire prophecy. You know, like, it became small magic in this big magical world.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point for me.
I love that. You see, I love that so much, because we never know who is going to listen to this and how it's going to touch them. That's it. Lean a little out of the logic and being in the head, and lean into the feelings part of things. Like, just don't be so scared to feel and just see what those feelings are telling you.
And it's really challenging.
Yeah.
Because the head is really loud.
Yeah.
Like, the head's on top, right? The heart's under the head. So it's easier to program this, and it's easier to listen to this by default.
Yeah.
It is more intentional to listen to the quieter parts of anything, of nature, of yourself. It's a choice, and that's why I was saying it. I got to that point where it was a choice. I waited. I didn't make a reactionary choice, because reactionary is out of fear.
Yeah.
When you just do something by default mechanic, that's fear. To stop, get present in your body, take a breath, and then make a choice, that comes from the feeling, from the intuition, from the knowing.
Thank you.
And that's what we've been disconnected from purposefully, so that we could be programmed with
in our minds. And another thing that I recognize is common between both of us, like that feeling of safety when you've gotten out of their grasp, like, if you don't do this, we won't feed you. That also helps make it easier to listen when you're no longer dependent on them for your very living.
Yeah. And there are many ways to not be dependent on them. And them means whoever your structure is around you, your foundational structure is, which is really challenging conversation to have, because we're also, family, they're our first gods, right? Like, this is our village, and it's all we know. It's where we feel safe and what we trust. But what happens when that foundation begins to harm you? Can you identify that and call it out? And when you can, you begin to make your own choices in that. Okay, so I'm showing up like this. My family's showing up like this. Who am I going to be right now? And you just keep checking in with yourself. And there may be a point where you'll have to distance yourself. And that can be very challenging. For me, my family distanced themselves from me. So not only did I have to deal with the distance, I had to deal with the abandonment also.
Yeah.
And I really encourage people to pour into themselves, pour into their healing work around religious trauma, because it would come up for me in the most subtle ways. It showed up a lot in my relationships, my intimate relationships.
Yeah.
And how there was like this, we got to do this or we're going to die energy all the time. Like this urgency.
Do you live I was going to say, did you live in my life then? Because, for sure.
I think that's just like the residue that comes with being a J-dub. Because we're programmed to constantly tell people that, like, we have the truth, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Right? And so then everything became this, you're going to eat meat, you're going to die. Yeah. I'm so grateful for my past lovers. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for the containers y'all created for me to show up all the ways I needed to show up so that I could heal.
Yeah, a lot of my healing happened in intimate relationship, for sure.
It's that mirror. You're looking at yourself.
And you just realize that, the whole world did not live like My therapist, I remember saying, she's like, tomorrow is probably going to come. He's like, statistically, you're probably going to live. I was like, but do you know though?
Right. Can you show me, where's the data?
Where is the data? No.
It's right here. It's in your blood.
Swear to God. No, it took me so long until I could map from that feeling of urgency surrounding everything.
Yeah.
It was such a scary place because it felt real. It felt like we have to talk about this right now. Otherwise, we are all not going to make it.
It's wild. It's our nervous system. Like, this shit affects our nervous system.
Oh.
It kept me so tight.
So constricted.
Literally, physically, though. Let me give you an example. There's so many things that I thought were just normal. I had a really hard ass. Like my muscle. Like, I didn't know that was because I was just walking around tense all the time. Yeah. Like, most of my 20s, I was just walking around like...
And you weren't even doing glute exercises.
No. But I was just like prepared for battle all the time. Like the trauma of always being ready to go and ready to like
that's my neck and shoulder somebody, for sure.
Yeah, but that showed up in my ass. Yeah. And it wasn't until one of my partners were like, I don't think this is supposed to be like that. And literally there was like within like the next 6 months, this body worker showed up, and she specifically worked with myofascial release. And she also was a spiritualist, and she was like, this is all your daddy energy, this is all locked in your ass. And she started weekly working that shit out, and I got a soft ass. It jiggles.
Oh gosh, this is another conversation for another day about how the body holds trauma, because I'm deep in that work right now. Because surprisingly or unsurprisingly, my approach to healing was still just all head based. You know, whatever, to each their own, right? And so I feel like I have spaciousness now because I was so disconnected from my body and my feelings that perhaps I needed to go the route that I went, which is head first, understanding how trauma works, understanding how childhood abuse affects us later on, understanding religious trauma just from a purely analytical, like, okay, I understand it, I can let it go, I can forgive my mom, I can work through this, work through that. And now, because so many people are showing up in my life, people like you, like Kachi, who are so in their body and feel everything. My shoulders are up to my neck constantly. So I'm doing this exercise for the last month where I wake up, I sit on the toilet, and I purposefully like release my shoulder down, and it literally goes a mile. Wow. It drops. It's this drop. And so I've been doing it with every time I can remember. So now I can just remember more often. And every single time that I feel like this is better now, every single time I call it to mind, I wouldn't be stressed about anything, but I would just remember, oh, drop your shoulder to C. Yeah. And I would drop it and it will drop a mile again. It's getting maybe a tad better. So like I'm doing all these different things. I'm working like with spirituality in a different way and just like trying to figure out, like understand my body, see where these things are stored. But I'm telling you, it's most notable in the morning. You would think I just woke up from bed, I was rested. No, it's like an escalator drops. It's how it feels for my shoulder. So I absolutely relate to something being that hard.
I also had that too. I had to work with a chiropractor because it was that intense.
My head, of course, I'm seeing an orthopedic doctor first.
Okay.
Can't see it now.
Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do.
But and Kachi would be like, chiropractors are really good, you know, body healer. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna go to the orthopedic doctor. I'm gonna get a CT. I'm gonna get an X-ray. I just want to see structurally if there's anything there. If there's that, I'm open. I'm gonna do sports therapy. But that conversation about how trauma lives in the body it's a real thing. It's wild.
It's a part of the process of detoxing that I was telling you. It took 7 years. Because once you unlock that shoulder part, then you're going to unlock something else. And then, so just get ready.
The way living makes sense to me is to heal and become love even more and more. Otherwise, the whole thing is absurd to me.
Right.
So I'm here for that. I'm here for that lifelong journey. It excites me, you know. So speaking of the withdrawal of familial support when you choose to become you, that happens. How did you navigate that? What did that look like for you?
Honestly, I'm going to have to say that the stars and cosmology that I was born within guides my life, because I don't know if I wouldn't have been like such a stubborn, driven sign as Capricorn. I don't know. I can't say that everybody could have their sanity still with all the things that I had to like go through from being indoctrinated and then post being indoctrinated. Yeah. I think that there was a lot of intention put into the code of my astrology. And so I think that being a Capricorn unicorn in itself. The fact that despite all odds, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep climbing for something. That's my intrinsic nature, that no matter what door closes, I'm like, oh, there's got to be another one.
Yeah.
So that played out with my family. Initially, I was just like, well, damn, I got space now. I got space to sprawl out and no one's checking for me. This is kind of cool. So I would say like it was a mixture of a lot of space and like, are they really not going? For real? Y'all? Wait.
Yeah.
And because also I was in my new life now, there was so much exciting things happening that simultaneously I was able to grieve and party at the same time. You know, party in my new life, but also like spend 5 days crying if I needed to. The transition was rocky. I did not have anybody. Like, period. So for context, both of my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. My mother is Jamaican, my father is Guyanese. My mother's family, I didn't grow up around them. I grew up knowing my father's family. They were the ones that lived in an apartment building. They were the houses that I went to all the time. And they were all Jehovah's Witnesses. So when our relationship broke, everyone, like there was no one. It was tumbleweeds. No, I wouldn't get a text back if I reached out, and nobody was checking for me. So there was beauty in that, and there was sadness in that. And I felt the sadness more as time passed. It wasn't like an initial like wait, which then gave me space to create a little, at least so that when I did feel the weight of the sadness, I had a buffer. I had something to land on because I had created something for myself. And what that something looked like was I was outed. At the same time I was outed, I was in transition to buy my second condo. And in that transition, I was going to stay at my parents' house while I moved. And I was outed. My parents said I couldn't stay with them. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to buy this condo. I'm just going to take the money that I made and survive. Because nobody has my back right now. So I was setting myself up for leaving. I didn't even know it.
You didn't even know it.
And that's been most of my life. And that's why I just trust. I trust my intuition. I trust what's showing up. I do the thing and then I wait. Because I saved my own self, you know, like I always had me. And I know it's not like that for everybody. And that's what I'm saying. Like whatever code I was programmed with was like for this. We knew this was coming, you know. And after I was outed, after I decided that I was just going to take this money and take care of myself, I just started going on adventures with lovers. And like I said, like that softened the blow of the transition. And then I got married. And then it was that, you know, like, and so I started creating my own life to live in that supported me, because it basically had to find a reason to still be here. In the same way that like you tether to love, I had to figure out my reason. And my reason is to experience fun, because that's not what I had in any part of my life. Like, most of my life has been suppressed. Then after suppression was survival, exploration, and now I'm in fun. Like, and that's what I live for. That's like, if I'm not having fun, then that's not, I'm not supposed to be here, you know?
No, I get that. You know, you said earlier that your parents were your best friends. So that initial stages, you were just glad for the distance. You had other things going on. You had creative projects. You know, you still had moments where you could grieve within that. As time went on and you began to settle a little bit, how did the grief show up? Did it show up like harder, softer, more intense? Same, like how did it show up for you? Or currently in your life, how does that grief show up for you?
Currently, it is showing up in my interpersonal relationships. Because I have space now to look at the details of my life and to see how my body is reacting in moments and not just like rush through those moments. I'm present to seeing how there's some healing even around like living out, like fully being fully fucking expressed. There is something still there. Like the healing never fucking ends ever. I still have a part of me that is hesitant around sharing myself, sharing my voice. Yeah. And I say it's subtle because I feel like I'm here, I'm ready, and I'm out here. I perform,
especially
like I do all the
comparison
things.
to, I get that.
It's so interesting.
But when you know your true potential.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
That's what it is. Like, if you leave other people to tell you, like, everyone thinks I'm the shit.
Right.
So I get it.
Right.
And then inside you're like,
but there's more. There's more.
Yeah.
And there really is. Like, this is the closest I've ever felt to it, I will say. So I know it's coming, and it's just all a part of my work.
You know what? I think our late 40s, 50s, 60s is going to be so lit. I think, there's sometimes that like a little bit of an impatience to see it all fully realized now. And then you realize, like, I'm in my late 30s, you're in your 30s. Like, we're young.
Yeah.
We're so young.
There's
still.
So much time. There's so much time.
And we're right on time, on purpose. The healing is healing.
Yeah.
There are a few people in my life who like see everything that I am. And sometimes their eagerness on my behalf can be a little much. Because I'm just like, I get it. Y'all want everyone to see everything all the time. I do too. And it's going to take as long as it's going to take. Each day I'm going to show up. Each day I show up in my life. And that is enough for me to know that like things will do what it do.
Yeah.
When it's time for that to happen. So we're right on track.
We are. I actually feel I don't have any FOMO. I'm not afraid I'm missing out on anything. I'm excited. I'm like perpetually excited.
Yeah.
Because the more I heal, the more I'm present to how amazing my life is. Like that I am creating.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody do this but me, you know? And that just excites me for like how am I going to color in the next set of years, you know? It's not going to look anything like our parents' generation, the generations before, with all the tools that we have, with all the healing that we're doing. It's just everything is possible.
Yeah.
You know?
And I believe that wholeheartedly. I've been thinking recently, I've been having a lot of conversations with my partner, Wikachi, around grief, about how grieving the parts of you that you thought you needed or the parts of you that protected you, how leaving it squarely, leaving those experiences in those timelines enables you to show up today as today instead of constantly like, because the lack of grief makes it feel like the past is here. I mean, that's what happens when we're triggered. That's what happens when we show up in ways that we're just like, I know this is not true in this moment. I know the way I'm reacting to this experience is not about this particular experience, but about the past. So like, just what does it look like to really lean into grief as a way of rebirth and as a way of anchoring yourself in the time you're in, being able to experience new relationships for what they are, existing relationships for what they are. And I've just been finding a lot of healing in that. Just like, okay, this is, and that's part of why I'm doing all the body stuff and the spiritual stuff, and which kind of leads me into my next question. I knew this conversation was going to be long. You still down?
I'm down.
Okay, cool.
It's juicy. And I also still want to talk about grief, though.
Let's talk about it still then.
Yeah. I was reading this concept the other day around depression and how we've named it depression. However, it's just a time that is requiring us to be still, that we tend to fight against. And we try to still keep going in our normal lives, but like we're being told to be still in this moment. And that like push and pull creates the chaos that we call depression. And thinking about how when we go into grief, we like call it this dark time where we can't see and we feel depressed, and we're always trying to get out of these feelings, these heavier feelings. And I'm really interested in exploring and deepening our relationship to grief and to that process, and to, you know, like you said, allowing yourself to go through it, like inviting it in. What does it look like to invite the grief in, to be with the grief, create a place for the grief to be, you know, as if it was a guest? Mm-hmm. What happens if we build our relationship to explore this thing, even though it's an unfamiliar feeling and we may not particularly enjoy what it brings? We know there are facts that there is an other side to it.
Yeah.
And if we choose to just suspend our life in that moment, which is a practice that I ended up doing. Mm-hmm. I ended up doing this practice because I was always led to face it. And I know this is not everyone's story, because spirit, energy, universe works with us in different ways. But every time I would try to just get on with it, be over it, go through it, I would be led to face it. Like, there was no way around. And that became a practice for me where it's like, oh, well, I guess it's lights out right now. Yeah. I'm just going to be here for however long. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it was grueling. Sometimes it would be weeks. And it didn't really feel good. I wouldn't say it didn't feel good for me, and I'm sure it didn't feel good for people around me, right? Because grieving is a communal practice. Yeah. But I say that to say that it's worth it because of who you become in the process mm-hmm. of that, right? And then what happens after. There's something alchemical that happens. There is a transmutation that happens when you allow that process to unfurl. Yeah. You become different, your environment becomes different. And so I really stress the importance of the process of grief and the process of being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, normalize being uncomfortable, and not... When I say things, they're not cookie cutter statements also. Mm-hmm. In this context, in this context of grieving and doing things that seem harder, normalize being uncomfortable because you know there is another side to it. Commit to that process. It's worth it.
Yeah. Thank you. I 100% agree with you. I think many things are named depression in our culture as a way of diagnosis, but very few things are depression. I'm talking clinical depression, where it's not just days long, it can stretch on for years. And that feeling of hopelessness. And I think it is important to delineate what situational sadness and grief looks like, and being able to sit with those in those moments, however long it lasts, and saying it makes sense. Of course I'm sad. Of course I'm not getting out of bed. Of course it's difficult for me to show up in the ways that I showed up yesterday. I feel like there's a lifelong grieving, because even though I still talk to my mom and I have a pretty pleasant relationship with her, I know that there are limits to it. I can't freely talk to her about my relationships. I can't freely share my exuberance about my queerness with her and have her celebrate it with me. And as my earliest caregiver, I feel like there's always going to be that longing to have that with her, and I can't. And that's the reality. And I have to grieve that. And it's probably a lifelong process that will still be here even after she's gone, if she goes first or whatever. But I just feel like being comfortable, and as you said, calling in community, naming it. It's a skill to name it and to say, this is how I'm showing up today because of XYZ. Yeah. I did a script thing with my closest friends when I had a really difficult period of grieving recently with my breakup, where I was just like, okay, text me these words because this is what I need. You are worthy. You're lovable. You're enough. And they would text it. I didn't have to reply back. I didn't have to double tap. Nothing. They would just text it. And learning to just curate those people who can hold us and whom we can hold too, because that is so important. We have to be able to hold others in their grief as well, because otherwise what are we doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What's the point?
So I'm so glad we got to talk about that. How is it with your parents? You're still not in contact?
Yeah, no, they are hardcore. I will say when they commit, they commit. Generally in life. Yeah. So we have zero relationship. Last year I did some grieving around one of my closest aunts that passed, and I hadn't seen her probably in 10, 12 years, I don't know. And I was able to see my father and I was able to see my mother because we were at a funeral. But it was also on Zoom. So that was weird because I hadn't seen him in so long, and then like my dad's like old now, you know what I mean? So that was interesting. It's really cool though to get to this part where I can see them, I can love them. We have no conversation because it was a funeral, you know. I only saw them because my dad spoke about my aunt, but like it's cool to be able to give them love from this place now. Like, how healed am I? Who even am I that I'm not like bawling while I'm looking at them because I'm so sad about what happens? Like, I'm in such a clear place of understanding and also respect for their journey. And like, I don't know why they made the choices they made. I don't know the harms that came their way, the tools they did or didn't have. Like, and from that place, if I can love all these other motherfuckers out in the world with all their flaws, you know, it just made it really easier to accept them. And I'm also like, I have grieved them dying because that may be the next time that I engage with them. You know, like I had to go through that whole thing of them passing, and actually kind of just like had them pass in my head. That was a part of my disconnecting from that parental cord, because that shit is thick.
Oh, man.
You know?
Kudos to you for that work and being able to show them love in that way. Kudos to me and those of us who are doing this work. And I just want to use this opportunity to say something to anyone who is listening, who is a Jehovah's Witness currently, or anyone who thinks that it is in any way acceptable to starve someone of love in order to teach them a lesson, in order for them to come back into the fold because they're starved of love. Like, I want you to feel that is not okay. I don't care how you have rationalized it enough to get to a place where you're just like, if this person does not exercise their free will in exactly the way I deem acceptable, I will deprive them of love in order for them to realize that they chose wrong. And we're talking specifically religious indoctrination, and an extreme case of it with Jehovah's Witnesses and how they approach disfellowshipping. But same shit is happening with queer kids, with trans kids in quote unquote moderate Christian household. That shit is wild and it's not okay. I'm like, listen, I'm here for, as I said before, I can find grace, I can find love, I can find empathy. And for kids who don't have the money to move out and you saying that they cannot be loved or supported by you because they're not living the life that you want for them based on your beliefs and your exercising of your free will, that's bullshit. And y'all need to repent.
What's the word?
Because tell me what kind of sense that makes.
I don't understand how they rationalize it, honestly.
But that's what you said. They're not feeling.
Yeah. There you go.
That's exactly that's why I love that so much. They're not feeling. They're doing all these mental gymnastics to get to a place where they're literally denied. Because I am damn sure that when your mom and dad saw you on that Zoom, they felt something. You're their only fucking child. But they've gotten to this place where they can do this mental gymnastics to literally not feel that feeling of longing. Mm-hmm. That feeling of longing exists. If it exists for you, it exists for them.
Yeah.
When I got to that point, when I understood that, I said to my mom, how about maybe I would disfellowship you?
You had a mouth.
I do.
You're so funny.
Like, what if I make this choice?
Well, I actually disassociated myself. I didn't get this fellowship.
Me neither, actually. I didn't show up for you to tell.
Right.
You gotta show up for that.
Who gonna tell me what?
Period.
You can't kick me out of something I didn't want to be in the first place.
Yeah, no, I didn't show up. Talking about, are you in the area the elders would like to? I'm like,
nah.
Booked and busy, girl. Booked and busy.
And
Did
I wrote
you?
a letter to my congregation, and I wrote a letter to Bethel headquarters, and I was like, I would like to disassociate myself from this congregation.
That's even more than I did. I was just like, I am booked and busy. I just can't. I will see what my calendar says. Okay, so you left. You chose, coming home to yourself. What is your relationship with spirituality right now? I know you've kind of touched on it at different points, but what does that look like for you?
Well, it has evolved as I have evolved. Okay, so I forgot to tell you this part. When I moved into my own place, I made a deal with Jehovah. This is me. Like, I've been a brat my whole life. I'm even a brat with spirit. I was like, listen, Jehovah, if you want me, you're going to have to tell me straight up because you're God. This is literally my conversation in my apartment, in my place. And I was like, you're going to have to show me clearly that you want me to serve you. Because I've had a relationship with you through my family, through my parents, but we haven't had a relationship. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to need you to talk to me just like you talking to all of them clearly. Because I was like, I don't get it.
Me neither.
I'm not getting it.
Actually, I didn't get that part.
I'm not getting it. So we had that conversation as soon as I moved into my place. And I say that to say that there's always been this knowingness of spirit, right? Even though I had an issue with the layout I was given, I knew that there was something there. Mainly because of how spirit moved when I had my abortion. That was the first time I feel like I consciously met spirit. Because the way that I was able to have an abortion around my family, like without anybody knowing, that was my first like seeing magic. I saw magic happen. And there was something that stayed with me clearly, because even in my adulthood, I still remember that moment. Just like knowing that there's something else here that I can't name, can't talk about, but there's something working that I can communicate to that sees me when I'm in trouble and resolves things. Like there's an essence. And that was just always subtly in my mind. But then also I told you that how just tapping into feeling also simultaneously as a curious practice was also a communication of some sort. Like that curiosity was telling me things as I followed it. And so fast forward to when now I have space, I don't have my family on me, guiding me spiritually through their spiritual lens. Now I have space to gather information, to read books, to watch films, and to be around people. The year that my mom was like, because they disassociated from me in stages. And the first year, literally like 2 weeks after my mom was like, we're not talking, a Ifa priestess just shows up. Like, I knew nothing about African traditional spirituality, wasn't Googling it because I didn't have any language for it.
Yeah.
All I knew was that there were some symbols that I was attracted to, some Ghanaian symbols I was attracted to. But it never trailed off into like me searching for God through that. And then, all of a sudden she just appears. She appears because after the situation with the not buying the next condo, moving into a place with a lover at the time, like not even my partner, they were just a lover. They just had my back and were like, you can come stay with me and figure it out for a little bit. Like, from going there, and then one of my lover's friends was just on an errand run and was like, hey, do you want to come with me to run some errands? And through me just saying yes to that, I end up at the feet of an Ifa priestess. Right? And then the priestess is like, babe, why are you so sad? And mind you, I wasn't physically crying or sad in that moment, but she picked up on something. Then I started sitting at her feet weekly. Not trying to get initiated or anything, not even having readings, but just curious. Yeah. And so throughout the beginning of my exploration of self, spirit was just there.
Yeah.
And because I had space to explore, I was able to deepen my practice. And as I started deepening my practice, I realized, the subtleties, this is actually communication. Everything's always communicating with me all the time. I just haven't been paying attention to it. And then I started diving deeper into rituals, and I actually didn't have to dive really far. Every time I would be curious about something would pop up. And so I would say that spirituality found me and has just been with me my entire life. It's just subtly opened itself to me as I trusted the space. Yeah. When I think about my spiritual practice, I don't have any like consistent practice. It just is. Yeah. Like, I am spirit. I'm very clear that I am a spirit being. I'm very clear that I chose to be inside of this chaos in this moment. I'm clear that I had to wipe off a lot of residue that wasn't mine. It's kind of like coming through the birth canal. You got all these juices on you that's not yours. Then you get washed off, and then you become, and then you start crying. And that you keep getting birthed in this journey. And I can't even say what my spiritual practice is because it literally is spirit. Yeah. It's forever evolving. There is not one practice that I'm committed to. I'm committed to spiritually living, which means that I'm free. Like, I'm committed to freedom and liberation as a lifestyle, and in that is spirit. Because that is what guides me to my freedom and my liberation, is this constant relationship with this part of me that I have given birth to. Like, I have identified and I have called into my life. It's an active relationship. And that's why I feel like a lot of times our relationship with spirit is dormant, because we haven't activated the relationship. Once we call spirit in and call whatever spirit means to us in, right? Because when I say spirit and my spirituality, I'm thinking of a multidimensional practice. Spirit of my ancestors, spirit of people I'm not even connected to, spirit of ascended people who have, like, not even people, beings. Like, there's just so many levels of dimensional play happening all around us all the time. And so I call that spirit. Got it. And I call my interaction with them my spiritual practice. Got it. So it's forever, infinitely being practiced and evolving.
Thank you for sharing. I love it. Because I was curious, because coming out of such strict religious, indoctrination, I do wonder. Because there was just like this feeling of like being lost when I didn't have that guidance, when I didn't have the scripture to answer questions for me anymore. I look back at my Facebook post, like 2008, 2000. I was on one. I was, child. Whatever question I had, I found a scripture that would help me answer that question.
Oh, wow. Scriptures never answered. They confused me.
No, looking back now, I think it was very specific scriptures that just basically spoke generally to love. Something like the meek will inherit the earth. It was always about just like, okay, how do you treat your neighbor? How do you treat yourself? How do you treat people around you? So there was a theme, let's just say. I don't know anything about the scriptures that were more punitive in nature. I was always just
looking for the love.
I was always looking and trying to find the love. Absolutely. And I think there's still some gems in there from a book. I'm a big reader. When you stop thinking of the Bible as inspired of God and the word of God, for me, I can just look at it, certain scriptures, I can just look at it and be like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like if you have a problem with someone, go to them and settle it first. If it does not work out, bring the community into it and do not necessarily take your brother to court. They're just those basic guidelines still resonated with me, but in general I felt really just like lost and unanchored, and coupled with just I was scared of ever being in a position where a belief system had such a strong hold on me. So even till today, I'm big into Buddhist principles. I listen to a podcast daily, probably on something surrounding Buddhist principles or philosophies or ideologies. I have a robust meditation practice, but I make sure that I'm clear that it's not a religious practice. So I won't chant. I won't even look into it. I don't want to. So I find those and then when it comes to African spirituality, I am Igbo. My mom and dad are both Igbo. I happen to get with a partner who is very into Igbo spirituality. So I don't think that's a coincidence. Tis what it is. I'm just chilling. That's all I say. I'm chilling, and
observing.
I'm observing. I'm careful not to name things just because everyone around me is naming it. And I probably take it to an extreme, but I'm okay with that. But I think it's my little rebellion and just cautiousness around being swept up into something again, because I find that I have a lot of people around me who are either into astrology or tarot or just spirit and African spirituality, who are not necessarily African, and I'm just okay, y'all have a lot of words for a lot of things and I just don't know, and I'm confused, and I want to chill on it, but if outside of that fear, in my quiet places, I can certainly understand what my intuition looks like. And it's beautiful the way I can foresee, sense. I know there's something there, right? I know there's something there, and I just let it be there.
I think it's important that you give yourself space. Mm-hmm. You're doing the thing. You're literally doing the thing. I think we knee-jerkly will jump into something, right? I think in any context, but in this context, in religious context, I saw myself default looking for something else after I left. Mm. It's okay, what's going to fill in this space? Yeah. And I found myself exploring a lot of traditions and religions because of that. And it just all circled back to the same thing. And I was okay, so it's not going to be in this context. Mm-hmm. But there is something to being around and hearing all these new concepts and language and not feeling pressured to it. I think that your intuition is that is spirit to me.
Yeah.
That is spirit.
My grandma. You know, the way I move. You know how people have like career goals? The only goal I have in life is to live like my grandma lived. So every decision I make in business, in career, in relationships, in community leads me to that, to live like she lived. I think that's a very directed guidance, if you will. Like I noticed that, like absolutely. And so recently when I brought out her picture, I was just like, oh, okay, that felt good. That felt good to do, to put, you know, a picture of her next to a picture of baby me. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do just that, and it feels good. And I look at it and there's no like resistance to it, and I'm like, okay, this is how we're gonna journey through this, and that has felt really good to me. Okay, we're gonna begin to wrap things up by asking this question. If you could talk to the younger you or someone who may be where you were, what would you tell them?
It would be centered around listening to the quietest voice. Find the quietest voice inside of you and like amplify that voice. Because that's where the secret sauce is. Your secret sauce, right? Yeah. And you have a lot of secret sauce.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you have been given the permission to spill that sauce on everything and allow that sauce to create new things within yourself, new opportunities, new worlds, new portals, new pathways that you couldn't even imagine and you still can't imagine. But if you follow that feeling and if you allow that feeling to pour out of you, you will see what I call magic. Because it's not explainable. You can't explain this shit. There's no language for what happens when you listen to the quietest voice. But it's worth it. It's worth the chaos that it feels. Because it does feel chaotic when there's outside, like overt outside stimulation, and then the challenge of like listening to the thing you know.
Yeah.
And so that's your sweet spot. And your key to all of this is finding that voice, strengthening that voice, and letting that voice guide you. You literally have everything you need inside of you.
Already.
Every tool, every idea, every word that you need to hear, everything has already been built inside of you, and it wants space to open up. And there's no rush in opening up. You have all the time. You can play with time. You can slow time down. You can speed it up.
Yeah.
You can do all the things that you need to do to exist without causing harm to anyone around you. And you will. And you'll do it with grace. And you'll do it with some scars. But you can just rub some vitamin E on it.
Period. I love that. Thank you. And to piggyback off that, I will say that the concept of Adamic sin, the concept of being inherently broken and sinful, therefore we must seek redemption, question it. When you're in that religious, like when you're in those spaces, and this doesn't just apply to Jehovah's Witnesses, they make you think that anything out of that space is broken, that people outside of that space are not living, are not happy, are not fulfilled, are not having their prayers answered. It is a lie. It is a big fat lie. If you need any clues as to how big of a lie is, Google how many atheists are living fabulous lives. I'm just saying, like, they too are saved from accidents. They too recover when they're sick. You know? They too, they're fine. Life is a mixed bag of like good things, bad things, neutral things, in between things. And it doesn't just apply to one specific group of people. And just like, you don't even, if you're someone who like evidence, there is evidence to the fact that life is life exists outside of your congregation and your elder and your pastor and whatever else. And you're not inherently broken, you know? You don't have to earn goodness. You're not. And if you're queer, baby, listening to this, you better find a pussy to dive into. That shit will liberate you. Like, if you like pussies, if you're queer and you like pussies, you know what I'm saying? That shit will, ooh, child. It will heal you. Yes. It will liberate you.
Deeply.
It will moisturize you.
All over.
Oh God, we're so gay. And there's so much joy. There's so much fulfillment to be found. And don't be surprised that most of what you're looking for in church is just community.
Yeah.
You know, that the feeling of the spirit taking over you, if you're like our little Pentecostal baddies, that's just you being happy, being in community. Come to a Sunday dinner, you're going to be filled with all sorts of Holy Ghost. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? They don't have an exclusive in on this thing. We all have access to it.
And honestly, their communities are not filled with joy. There's just camaraderie.
That part. You have to hide parts of yourself.
Yeah.
Seek where you can show all parts of yourself, including the parts that are a little rougher around the edges, and still be accepted. Now that's the magic. So
real joy versus fake joy.
That's it.
The real joy, you know what that feels like. The fake joy is like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm great.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you can't even tell them you're hungover the next day.
Mate.
Because that means you got drunk. If you cannot tell your friend that you're hungover and like,
are they really your friend?
Are they really your friend? You know? So Dan, thank you so much for coming on. Oh my gosh, this has been such a wonderful conversation with you.
Yes. Thank you for hosting. Thank you for the great questions.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Before we go though, shameless plug, where can we find you?
Oh.
Yeah, do it.
In these streets.
In these streets, internet, in real life, analog, all of it.
So in these streets, you can find me in Oakland currently. I am cooperatively running a venue in Fruitvale, an experimental hub for the queers. So you can find me there. Come play with us. And on the interwebs, you can find me at 7000coils.com. And that's the number 7000. And coils, like COILS. And then if you do the Instagram thing, I can be found at KKINGBOO, King Boo, or 7000 Coils. And if you listen to music and you like to be challenged, or you like a cute spell in your daily mix, you can find me on SoundCloud or Bandcamp, also at 7000 Coils.
And I will include all of that in the description. Go check out Dan. If you're in the Bay, catch one of their events. You will be changed.
Okay.
And it's like true transformation. So, yeah.
If you surrender.
It's
a choice. It's always a choice.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Until next time.
Rich Queer Auntie.
Period. Okay.